All right, everyone, welcome back to this episode of Game Life Chronicles. Today, we're going to take a look at gaming and its impact on mental health. Today, we have our guest, Graham, and Graham is going to talk to us about his personal experiences and observations around the positive and negative effects of gaming on mental health, well-being, and how he's found a healthy balance and what others can do that may or may not help them, right? Like we want to take a look at what everyone in our community is doing to maintain that balance in our lives. So Graham is going to walk us through his own experiences. Welcome.
Hi, so I'm Graham, or if anybody who's watching knows my channel, it's Chrome Vader. Go through Twitch and things. I am Irish born. I live in Dublin, Ireland. I started streaming about 6 weeks ago, maybe 7 weeks ago.
Nice.
And it's basically taken me from one very average, very downtrodden lifestyle to a world of possibilities and meeting new people and things like that along the way. So it's safe to say that gaming is literally effectively saved my life and put me onto a totally different path, basically.
Okay, so let's look at your background on what role that gaming has in your life, right? So when did you start gaming, and what type of games do you enjoy the most?
Oh, I've been gaming for my entire life, to be fair. I started at a very, very early age. I think the earliest memory I probably have of video games was watching my father play Tekken 1 with his
Whoa.
friends, who were all very young, on the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
And that would have been my first real memory of a game. And then probably after that was Abe's Odyssey, which is, it's going way back now.
Yeah.
So
Like I haven't heard that in a long time.
yeah. So it's safe to say I've been in the game a very, very long time. My I took breaks throughout the years. Obviously, life kind of tends to get in the way. So there's been brief periods over the years where I may have missed a year of gaming because of this thing or work or so many other things. But it all comes back to the same for me, that gaming is the perfect way to escape what is essentially the horrors of the real world on an often basis. I tried this. I said something to a friend recently, and it stuck with me since. It was that gaming as a whole is a fantastic output, but streaming for me has been the save point. And to coin a video game phrase, the save point. But yeah, so we at the moment we're kind of predominantly doing Souls-based games and things. I like a challenge. I like to do whatever, but I'm not very limited in my genre of game. I play nearly every type of game. If it's a cozy couch farm building game, cool. If it's a racing with guns and screaming, I'm good. If it's I'm a student of all classes, maybe, to put it in an appropriate way. But
Nice.
yeah, so that's kind of roundabouts the way it is.
So you touched a little bit about it, right? So go a little more into how your gaming routine has evolved over the years. Like how did you go from just, PlayStation 1 to now you're streaming games? How did you get here?
Well, the streaming started very, very recently, like now. So like I say, I'm 32 now, and it's only 8 weeks I've been streaming. Now we've been blessed with nice growth and meeting nice communities, so I'm further along than a lot of people would be at this point. So I'm very, very lucky in that, and I'm very aware of that. But I think I'd still be feeling the same regardless if I only had two people watching me. It wouldn't bother me, The idea is
Yeah.
community at the end of the day. But as the years have gone on, like kind of thing, gaming took, instead of gaming being a more, I think when you're a child, gaming is about just seeing things that you've never seen before and playing things you've never played.
Definitely.
You're not registering storylines, character arcs. You're not, none of these things matter. You're like, okay, so crash, we press square and we spin and we break the box and we jump on the top of the guy, and that's it. That is the whole story. That's the whole
Or like the
game.
spamming of the buttons for
Yeah,
those arcade
yeah.
games, just
There's
randomly,
abs
never learning anything.
Yeah, exactly. There's no relationship being built between yourself and the character. Essentially, you're building I suppose, a childish friendship of sorts with these kinds of
Yeah.
characters, but you don't think about them outside of that game. As the
Hmm.
years have gone on, and obviously as you grow, especially through young adulthood, I grew up in very rough areas of Ireland, Dublin specifically. There's areas in Dublin that are really, really, really tough. Crime wise is really bad. It's just they're not nice places. And there was maybe, I think maybe if I had 10 friends, I would be surprised if two of them are even still here. That's
Yeah.
how crazy that is. And
Hmm.
gaming, as you grow up through that, it becomes more of, instead of a joy to jump to, it becomes a necessity of an outlet almost,
Yeah.
because you're trying to comprehend the realities of the world, which almost are like its own crazy ass video game. It's like
Yeah.
the things that are going on in real life now. If you saw them in a video game, you'd be like, "Oh, wow, cool." But the fact that they're happening in real life, you're like,
You're like, this can't be real.
this sucks. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just not the same. And I find that video gaming is a phenomenal outlet to escape the boundaries of the real world, in a sense that I think it works specifically very well with like RPGs and things like that, because you're designing your own character and you're essentially living the life you want to live.
Yeah.
Without the constraints and the boundaries of societal pressure, or what the current leadership of the world is, or the current agenda that's going on. None of that's in gaming. Gaming, you are in control, and I think,
Every choice you make, and it affects your
yes.
character the way you want it to.
hmm And I find that
Yeah.
we actually make more methodical decisions in our games than we do in our own lives, which I find
Oh, yeah.
very interesting in its own way. But
Definitely.
yeah, so as the years have gone on, I found myself really appreciating more and more the development side of video gaming. Um, Character arc in a video game now is huge for me. So the kind of Baldur's Gate 3, for example, is one of the
Nice.
finest masterpieces I have ever played.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every moment was crafted to perfection. Every character you cared about, you wanted to know more about these characters and things. And I think it's because they genuinely felt real. They were relatable.
Yeah.
And I think that's also another side of why we look into video games as much, because we are searching for that form of relatability, especially for people who are more closed in, more introverted into themselves, that they mightn't have the confidence in the real world to go out and seek these relationships.
Hmm.
This kind of gives them a small form to do that with. And hopefully they can build on that and bring that into themselves in the real world, obviously. But it's just, yeah, I found it interesting as the years. That's more heavily I've leaned into RPGs and things now of recent because of that, I think.
Kind of a safe space.
Yeah, yeah, perfect way of putting it. It's a very simplistic way. It's just a safe space. That's it, really. I think that's what a lot of us are looking for, really.
Absolutely. So let's start by looking at more of the positive impacts on mental health, right? How has gaming positively influenced your mental health?
It's dramatically. So like I've been technically unemployed now for over a year now, nearly going probably a year and a half now.
Hmm.
Um, Luckily, I have a very understanding employer who's a friend also, so that's why it helps. And they are
Yeah.
there whenever I'm ready to come back and things. But see, I suffer severely, and this is something I find funny when you look at other streamers because there's so many that are the same, but you would not know this if you looked at me on stream. On stream, I am happy, I am laughing, I want to get to know people. If you've seen me on the stream in the Twitch industry, you will see my name somewhere because I am in everybody's chats. I follow
Yeah.
and watch and go view. I stay up 15, 18 hours a day so I can wait until it's a ridiculous hour in Ireland, but it's a normal time in America because I have a lot of people I like to speak to and get to know. So I
A
stay
time
up till
difference.
6 a.m. to have conversations with these people.
Yeah.
But yet I would struggle on public transport. I would struggle to be around 5 people without panic attacks and all sorts of things. Um, but video gaming, not so much video gaming as more streaming now has really taken me out of that enclosed space that I was putting myself into.
Yeah.
It's helped with people as a generality, but not so much physically with people. That is still something you have to work on yourself. There's nothing
Yeah.
that will magically fix that. But this is a huge step in that direction. You form bonds with people that are oceans away, and those kinds of things. I think you learn to trust a bit more, which is
Yeah.
very helpful to getting over the boundaries of social anxiety and things. Because one of the big problems for me with social anxiety is that it's kind of almost like an ADHD thing. Like, I walk into a room, I know where all the exits are immediately. That's the
Mm,
first thing I look for is exits.
the way out.
I count how many men I've passed by on the way there and see, are there guys there that are big enough to do me harm, or kind
Hmm.
of things like that. Ridiculous pathways that the brain goes, but unfortunately that is a part of the problem. You're out of sync, you're out of norm with yourself, and your body and your brain goes crazy in those situations. Gaming has allowed me to build friendships without putting myself in a position of vulnerability, if that makes sense. Um, Now, obviously, no one can live like that forever. You need to learn to develop past that. But this is a huge step in the right direction. It took me from not wanting to get up out of bed every morning to I when I get out of bed now, the first thing I do is turn on my PC and I go and I watch find people. I go to look find new people to bring into the community or to join their community. It's not just about mine. There are
Yeah.
plenty of other people out there who are building fantastic communities, much more well grown than what I'm trying to do personally. But the idea is to bring these together in whatever way possible, because it's more about the community than it is the creator of the community. So it's yeah, I think that's probably the best way I could put it. It's been a huge starting block to what is an incredibly hard journey for anybody who's really suffering a mental health, I think.
Yeah, I like that you talked a lot about how your community is building and being part of
Hmm.
other people's communities, building that social connection. I think that's a super important part of
Hmm.
this whole thing,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It's not just the gaming and the games like a lot of people think about, but like we are trying to build a community as well around this thing
Hmm.
that we all enjoy, this thing that we all want to take part in, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes it feels like it's almost easier when you're playing a video game to have those conversations with people and interact
Exactly.
with people in that way.
Yeah.
Are there any games you think are better than others for that, like
Hmm.
building that social connection? In your opinion, for you at least.
I think it's a tough one because it also depends on the people we're talking about. So for me, and we've seen this huge increase in popularity lately with games like Helldivers 2 was a big one. There was a huge increase in popularity with that. Now, although these games are being played by obviously any gender, of course. We've seen it specifically. There's been a surge of just guys getting together and grouping up, and these are men who wouldn't speak in these ways to each other out in the real world because it's, it's maybe it's not sorry, 2 seconds of the dog here. She's testing my home. Yeah, so it kind of builds into the masculinity kind of side of things as well, with particular games. So like I do a thing. I started all this through TikTok essentially, and the idea of my whole thing was that it was to battle the fear to feel essentially.
I like that.
Predominantly with young men, specifically because, and this is obviously it's wide spectrum. It can go across, and anybody can take from this what they will. They don't have to be young men, but I find that there's
Yeah.
a serious issue in the world at the moment where it's not masculine to feel, and it's not masculine to appreciate your brother, or
Yeah.
and things like this. But we've seen it, weirdly enough, in the video games industry. I don't play Helldivers yet. It's something I actually plan to play, but
I do want to play that as
I
well.
have so many games. I'm still trying to get around to it, And then with
Yeah.
streaming, you're doing certain games, and it's anyway. But yeah, with Helldivers specifically, and I know guys who play it, and I've heard them. I've been on the other end of their Discord chats, and I'm listening to them talk. And these are guys that one on one, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, no." But then when they're in the game, what they do is they're like, "Get him, brother! Yeah, you done it!" And they're building each other, and it's whatever. And it's like they would not say that in real life. They would not. They would be afraid to sound that supportive and that
In real life.
loving in real life. So it's weird to think. I think it depends. Like I say, I think it all depends on who we're talking about in particular,
Yeah.
because the impact people, and this is the greatest thing about gaming, is they can get to anybody at any time. They can touch that
Hmm.
part of themselves that they might have even known they had before, kind
Yeah.
of thing. I've personally myself, I've found myself becoming so much more open to even like the LGBT community and stuff through video games.
Yeah.
My partner is a part of the community. She's bisexual, and um, she, to be fair, not that I was ever closed off or anything in particular, but I'd never really explored the ideas and what was going on in that community because me as a straight person, it's not something that would have ever interested. I was like, oh yeah, you do
Yeah.
you, you do you, I'm good with that and whatever. And but the personality, the battles that happen, and the things that people have to go through, and things never just straight over my head. I never thought of it. But video gaming specifically, and things where you're meeting these characters and you're seeing certain stories that you would never have thought about otherwise, only for the fact that you're playing them in this video game. There's a fantastic game. Now I haven't finished it, but I did start it and I got quite a bit into it. Was Tell Me More or Tell Me Why?
Tell me why.
I think it was Tell
I
Me
don't think I've
Why.
heard of that one.
I won't go into the whole thing about it, but it's basically it's about two siblings, and there is the death of their mother and things like that. But one of the
Hmm.
siblings has transitioned at this point, so it was about their personal experience of knowing that they were in the wrong body and things like that, and the mother didn't agree with it, and blah blah blah. And there's a whole story to that. Like, but these are things that I personally wouldn't have registered beforehand up until playing the game myself. So yeah, I think it builds to. It's so hard. You can't generally answer this character.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can't generally answer this question.
Yeah.
It's just so hyper focused. That's gaming though. Gaming affects every aspect of life, and I think it just depends on where you're coming from at that point in time and how it could impact you and how it impacts others. I don't know if that makes sense or if I went on a
It
tangent.
does. No, it makes sense. It does. It definitely does. It's interesting to think about. So now there's a lot of positives, and as we go through the world, we always know that there are a lot of negatives and naysaying about video games. So for you, right, when we're talking about the negative impacts that gaming may have on mental health, What challenges have you faced regarding this, right? Like, have you ever experienced like addiction or felt that gaming was negatively impacting your life?
Mm, yes, actually. I think maybe if at a certain particular age, I think when you're a child, it's fine, and when you're an adult, it's fine. But that middle ground in between, where socially you should be being a lot more out there with, meeting
Mm-hmm.
people and experiencing the world for what it is. And you can always game in the meantime. But I find kids now, especially with the world the way it is, have a fear of the outside world and often spend all of their time in playing video games and things like that. Now, I am the biggest advocate you will get for video games. I have no problem with my children playing all the video games they want, but
Yeah.
I believe at a certain point, maybe we could say, maybe we go from about 11 to about 14. That bracket of year, because you're
Yeah.
changing into a higher level of schooling. You're meeting
Yeah.
a higher age bracket, if you will, of other kids and things like that. And it's important that you learn to develop a personality outside of your video gaming world at that point. But the problem being, so many aren't. And I find that when the real world does hit them, it hits them with a bang, really
Yeah.
hard too. And that in turn makes them return to the video games that they play, but not for the right reasons. It's escaping, not an outlet. An outlet is entirely different from escaping. An outlet
Hmm.
is something you have your real world, and this is how you release all of that pent up energy and things. Escaping is ignoring the outside world, pretending that nothing exists, and living in this reality that's not a reality.
Hmm.
So I think it's just that bracket in the middle. I find when you're a child, if really, really young, cool, let them do what they want. When you're an adult, you reserve the right to do what you
To
want,
do what you want.
because
Yep. Absolutely.
you've lived life, you walk, or you have walked, or you're going through stuff or whatever. You're allowed to spend your time whatever way you want. But there is that bracket in the middle, I would say. But for me, after that, I don't think there's too many downsides to video game. I think there's a lot more upsides. Words not working. There's a lot more benefits than there is downsides to video game, and we've seen it now in the world that they use Microsoft Simulator to teach pilots how to fly. That's insane to me. Like, they're
That is
actually using
insane.
tools. They rebuilt parts of uh oh my God, I can't think of it. The church in Italy, it burned down. Um,
Oh,
it's escaping me. There's
me
a,
too, but I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
there is a church. There was a church that burned down. I think it was in Italy, and they used the Assassin's Creed schematics, because Assassin's Creed, when they were making the game, studied this particular church with such detail that they were able to rebuild almost identically the parts that burnt down by using
That's actually
video game
really cool. I didn't
schematics.
know that.
Yeah,
I
it's
did not
it's
know that.
crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. So I think in terms of when you say things like that, there's far more benefits than there is downfalls. I don't buy into video games are warping children's minds and
Yeah.
this and that. No, I think that's more societal, and that's more down to the parenting than it is the video games themselves. But that's an entirely different
Yeah.
conversation.
And I think like too, like as opposed to when we were growing up, there's a lot more opportunity within video games and gaming, right? Like we
Mm,
have the professional gamers, we have the streamers, we have the content creators, we have the managers, we have the business, or like all of these things that are around gaming that weren't necessarily options for us back in the day, right? When they keep saying, "Oh, you can't play all these video games, you're gonna rot your brain,"
hmm
all these things, like all those opportunities around the whole gaming industry weren't as prevalent
Yeah.
for us.
Oh, they were non-existent, really. If you
Yeah,
think about it, they were non-existent. Unless you were involved in making video games,
yeah,
there was no financial benefit to being involved in that community. There was no such thing as TwitchCon and Comic Con. Well,
yeah.
there was Comic Con, but it was very different. You know, there was no YouTube. I don't know. Do you remember a time with no YouTube? I do. You know,
Yeah, I
that's
did.
scary. You know what I mean? That's very scary. But none of that. You know, there was no monetization. You know,
Yeah,
even if you think of when YouTube first came out, there was no such thing as copyright. You could throw anything up on YouTube. There was no company coming in and saying you now owe me money because you played this clip and you did this, and
yeah,
there was none of it was non-existent.
yeah.
Totally different world.
No oversight or anything.
No, 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 no.
Definitely. All right. So positives and negatives, let's talk about balance, right? So finding balance is crucial.
Hmm.
How do you manage to keep a healthy relationship with gaming? Like, what are the strategies you use to ensure that gaming remains a positive influence in your life?
I think currently now, really, what I'm doing, what I'm so when I put a stream on, I mean, yeah, I'm streaming games I like. I don't do the thing of I'm going to play a game because it's popular.
Yeah,
People for financial
that's
benefit
important.
do that. I
Hmm.
That's not for me. It would be insane to say if this didn't grow and become financially beneficial that I would be able to put 100% all of my time and effort and never have the cloud of where's the next paycheck coming from above your head. Of course, you would be crazy not to want that. But for me, it's the main thing about it all is community. So when I'm playing a video game, yeah, I'm enjoying the game I'm playing, but
Yeah,
it's if I'm sitting there and playing a game and I have the little number on the bottom of the screen and it says there's 15 people watching and there's an empty chat, I'm I don't know what to do. I talk and I talk and I talk to myself and I'm just like, for me it's about I want to see people talking to each other and having fun and
yeah,
just having a blast. Mine isn't a serious channel. When I here just to watch me look at the screen and just, I'm breaking a world record here and no, I'm not into any of that. I want to see people having fun. I want to see people laugh respectfully, of course, but
yeah,
having fun and jesting at each other and messing and building for bonds and friendships. And if that doesn't happen, I it's there are the days it happens. There are the days where it doesn't happen. You gotta get along with it. I kind of operate on the mentality that I have 50 people watching me at all times, which is obviously never happened. You know, I've been raided once and we hit 74, but that number went boop 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 boop
yeah,
really quickly. So, but I operate on the mentality of 50 people watching at all times. So I kind of tend to not watch the chat for the first maybe 20 minutes of a stream. Oftentimes, if I've started on zero,
hmm,
and then I don't care. And so I just sit here and I look at this screen, I'm playing, and every now and then I'll just go, oh, no, no, right, keep going. And
yeah,
probably after about 10 minutes, I just start talking. That's it. I pretend 50 people are there now. Let's tell them what we're doing in the game, and let's whatever. Next time I look at the screen is full, and there's people going, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm building relationships. So for me, that's what keeps it grounded and focused, and balanced, I suppose, if you will, because I now spend less time playing the game than I do going on and speaking with people and integrating with people and talking with people and trying to bring people over to my community, and then I will go over to their community, and then we'll go over to someone else's community, and things like that. So that would be where I keep the balance now, personally, myself, is in relationship building more so than anything else.
okay,
And obviously, in real life, it's the same thing. My partner is a big video game
yeah.
enthusiast. She grew up playing the old school games we did, original Final Fantasies and
Oh,
Resident Evils and
nice.
Silent Hills. She grew up with the
Devil May
old
Cry.
school. Yeah, Devil May Cry. Yeah, she grew up with all the old school stuff. So she loves gaming. She's been hugely supportive, and that is another factor. It takes that support. You need that support from somebody, I think, as well, to really keep you grounded, keep you level,
Hmm.
because I find people can gain an ego very easily in this business, but they can
Yeah,
also lose a part of themselves in this business if it doesn't go right. Um,
that makes sense.
it's a catch-22. It's not everybody is gonna get huge, but if that's the thing that's driving you, then maybe you should look more outwards of yourself for that, and you will find that pull that you need to keep going. If it becomes less about you and more about what you're doing,
Hmm.
then that's a balance too, I suppose, in its own way. That would be me.
So, you touched a little bit about it a couple of times. Tell me more about this community you're trying to build. Like why, how, and what's the purpose behind it?
So I grew up watching. Well, I say grew up. Half my life there was none of this kind of thing. So in the latter half of my life, I've grown to watch a lot of YouTubers, a lot of streamers, a lot of kind of people like that, and I've seen the rise and fall of um, many people for the right and the wrong reasons.
Hmm.
It's the wrong one. It's the wrong reasons that get to me. We kind of live in this weird culture at the moment where I don't know. It's like the world isn't crazy enough, so we need to see the real crazy. And there are so many characters that people are playing online now at the moment. Through TikTok, they're playing these personas where, I mean, this can't be real. This is not how you really are. There's no way you are this delusional or you're this crazy and this kind of.
Can never tell what's real.
Well, that's always the thing. I kind of take a thing of when it comes to the likes of TikTok, especially when you have characters that they play, they walk around, and the big one for me is the latest one is the playing the good guy role, which is, and there was a phase of it for quite a while where we would see this guy who I've never seen before, but clearly has a lot of money, walking
Hmm.
around and going up to a homeless gentleman and going, "Oh, sir, and asking him for like, I have no food. Is there any chance I could you have something?" And if the homeless man gives him something of his own, he will give him $10,000, and
Yeah,
using people for their gain, and it kills me. And some people, the problem is people fall for that. Um,
yeah.
the comment sections are filled with, "Oh, peace and love, brother. Thank you for doing this. We need more people." It's like, it's delusional. These people are building off the hardships
Of
of that
others.
people are suffering in the real world, and it kills me. So I see so many of that, so much of that, them kind of situations, that there is only a small amount of genuine, in my opinion, YouTubers and gamers out there that
Hmm.
really genuinely give a crap about their community and want to see people succeed in life and things. To call one would be, I'm a big fan of a streamer, used to be streamer, now just mainly YouTuber, Jacksepticeye. He's an Irish streamer who's done very, very well for himself. I think he's like 1 point something million views at some point on each video that he has. He's doing
Jeez.
insanely well for himself.
Yeah.
But he grew up in Ireland, and he started he started in a little cabin out in the backwoods of nowhere with barely any internet signal and nothing. And he built and he built and he built and he built, and he stuck with the same people along the way, and they built a community to the point he doesn't really do Twitch per se anymore. He's moved predominantly to YouTube, but he
Yeah.
does charity runs. He does a charity run every year where they earn well over $1 million and things like that. And it's purely all charity. It's none of it is financial gain or anything like that. These are the people that need to be highlighted more. And people like that who are coming up in the communities need to be highlighted more. And the
Definitely.
problem is, in a world of Twitch, of twerking and hot tub time machine kind of things, I mean, we all know what all of those kinds of Twitch streams are, they completely take over, and the smaller content creators who genuinely want to do good and want to do whatever will rarely ever get found and rarely ever get seen. So what I try to do with my own community, and it's not like a there's so many schemes out there now, lurks for lurks and follows for follows and all of these
Yeah.
things. Ah,
Trying to do that growth without the organic growth. Like that's
yeah,
fat
you
growth.
need organic growth, but you can build relationships and grow quicker, but it's quicker in the right ways because these people are genuinely digging you
Interested in
and
the
you're digging
content.
them. As long as you're building a relationship there, I have no problem with communities expanding and people's channel growth going quicker than the normal or something like that. As long as it has to be genuine though. It's got to be genuine, and if it's not genuine, it just doesn't. It
Feel
always
right.
backfires. It always
Yeah.
backfires. So the idea for me is to bring people in, not just to my community, but in general. The best idea is to bring people into communities with like-minded individuals, gamers. You know, we could talk about and share our experiences and get not just it doesn't have to be just gaming. You know, I have a mental health section in mine, which I really need to expand on today. That's today's work. I have to build that. So today, but I'm a part of three other communities created by other people that have huge mental health sections. And these kinds of people don't get highlighted, and it kills me because these are the people that are doing the real work. You know,
Yeah.
building the communities. We're finding people. I have people in mine currently that privately message me and they feel so close to speak to me about their personal problems. And look, I'm no therapist. You know, I attend therapy, but I am no therapist myself. But sometimes people just need to feel confident enough to be able to speak, and once they're heard, it it's taken it's like the way I look at it is when you're carrying mental health issues and things, it's like constantly having this monkey on your back, and he's just hammering away at you all the time, and it just doesn't stop, and it's just constant, and it's forever. But sometimes having somebody who you can relate to, being through gaming,
Mm-hmm.
if they're listening to you, you tend to listen and care more about what they respond to you when you tell them something about yourself. So when I have somebody come to me and say, I'm having this problem with this person in my life and I just don't know how to deal with it, do you have any advice and things? And now they're going to listen to me more than they would listen to someone else in their life, for the simple fact is they have built a relatable friendship there. They know, oh, he likes this game, and I love that game, and oh, so we're kind of, and you spend a bit of time together, and you realize that we vibe off each other really well and stuff. So when he says something, I know it's not, um, I know it's not false. I know it's not fake, and I know it's not just, oh yeah, just so we stop the conversation. They tend to
Yeah.
listen to you more through that. So that for me is key to it all, especially in the world that we have now. It's the world we have now is so painful in general. You can feel the world cry when you put your head out the door. When you open that window, you can feel the pain of the world until you close it, and that's a scary, scary, scary thing that we're living in at the moment. Um, so yeah, a long walk to a short answer is it's the community aspect is vitally important for me. Um, but again, it's there's so many people that say that it can be hard to take that genuinely. I find as well, which again is that's just its own other problem, really. The genuineness of people,
Yeah.
you know.
Thank you. All right. So outside of gaming, right, outside of streaming, are there any like stress relief techniques that you practice?
Exercise, 100%
Exercise.
exercise has to be done. You sit in a chair for 18 hours a day. You know, there's people who'll sit there for those 18 hours a day. Um, What I do find is actually quite fun is if you go onto people's streams, onto their redeem sections, a lot of the
Yeah.
time, a lot of people have the usual 5 or 6 ones there. One of them is always hydrate.
Hmm.
One of them is always stand up or stretch or, you know, these things. Some people have take 5 minutes, and
I
someone
have
redeems them.
push-ups.
That was the next one. So I have three friends of mine who are they're definitely up and coming, and they're the kind of people that you know will be big one day. They're genuine. Their content is great. Their followers love them, and they're there.
Hmm.
These are the guys that when they start a stream, they start it on a big open starting soon stream, and they've got 40 people waiting and sending messages
Wow.
in. So these guys are all really they're gonna make it, and every
Yeah.
single one of them have I think it's one has 15 push-ups, 15 sit-ups, 15 uh, bicep curls,
Hmm.
and something else. So what we tend to do is when we're looking at each other, we team up and we go onto his stream. And once his cooldowns are done, we'll just go click, 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 and then he has to do all of these
Full
in one
workout.
go. It's amazing. So yeah, but it's a really interesting but a really good way. It's community engagement as well as getting and keeping a little bit fit at the same time. But it's
Yeah.
the exercise is a huge part of it. You have to do it. Touching grass is vitally important.
Yeah, it's definitely important.
The real world needs to be seen at the same time. As horrible as it is, you don't have to be in that part of the real world. Go find a park. Go go do something. Go to the movies. Go,
Touch grass somewhere.
touch grass anywhere at all. Even on your own, just go do it. The 20-minute walk can be life changing. It's the best way to put it.
Okay. So now this point is where I usually ask, like, what advice do you have to give to other gamers about maintaining a healthy balance and using gaming as a positive tool for mental health, right? You can tell me if like there are signs that they should look for that indicates they need a break, or how other gamers can support each other for mental health. What advice do you have to give around that?
So, like, I'm not talking from an expert's point of view in the sense that I have the exact answer for people and things. I can only speak from my own personal opinion on this. It kind of bleeds into a little bit of what we've spoken already about, and it's the balance of it all is very important. But I think in terms of gaming, to keep a balance and to keep a mental health aspect of it all there, the signs you need to really kind of look for is, well, first of all, if you're dreaming of a game, then you got a problem. I've done it. I do it all the time. It's fine. I'm only kidding. Dream all you want. If you're dreaming, it means you're very excited to go back and play it, and that's cool. I do it all the time. But no, I think in terms of right. So one I'm guilty for as much as the next person, skipping meals.
Mm,
That's a big, big thing. And I wasn't aware how big that was. It's more prominent if you're streaming than it is if you're just gaming, because when you're gaming, you pause and walk away and whatever. But when you're streaming, you're very hesitant to be off the screen for more than a couple of minutes, especially if you're a small channel like myself. That 30 seconds I've gone to the toilet, chances are I lose 4 people in the chat. Like that, no problem.
yeah.
Just people who've randomly popped in to see me. I'm lucky in the sense that I have a fair amount of regulars that I know are going to be in and out, or chances are they're streaming as well, and they come in and during their off periods and drop a nice little kind of message and something else. So I know I have a basic base there, but you lose. It's the people that come in to view your channel and see, you're afraid so bad to lose them that you don't want to take any time off the camera. I have
Hmm.
streamed for
Yeah.
11 hours because of that. I was supposed to stream for 8. I got raided 3 times, and I
So you
wound
just
up,
kept going.
yeah, I wound up with 74 people for a few minutes, and then it dropped down and dropped down, and then it balanced around 30 for quite a while. And then it dropped down to, I think it was 26, but then it was jumping from 26 to 29, 26 to 29, and I went, yeah, shit, I was supposed to go to bed, I'm up early, and I was like, but there's 29 people watching, and it's, I haven't eaten, and you're looking to it. But at that point, you're on a high because it's the best viewership you've had at the time, and it's this and it's that, and maybe you get a hype train, or maybe people are subbing and following and everything else, and it's honestly it's addictive. It's a very addictive thing in general. I think streaming more so than gaming is addictive. When we talk about the boundaries that need to be set, I think
Yeah.
streaming has its a whole set of different rules than just gaming in general. When you're gaming on your own, you're in total control. And if you're skipping meals, then you have a problem. You need to assess that yourself. Exercise, meals are, well, they're vital to existing, I suppose. That's like saying if you're forgetting how to breathe when you're playing a game, stop playing the game, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's a
Basically.
little bit like that. So there'd be a couple of warning signs, I would think, when it comes to gaming. If you're avoiding real life things, if you're avoiding going to, I did it once. I was so into a game I was playing. Now it was only milk for my tea, but I'm a big tea drinker. I would
Yeah.
drink. I have one now. I would drink 15 cups of tea a day, which is not good in its own way, but
Yeah.
that's my own stuff. Um, I was supposed to go to the shop. I was supposed to get maybe a little bit of munch for myself, a couple of snack bars and things like that, and milk for the tea and stuff. And I was so into the game, I didn't. And I looked, and it was 11 p.m. Shops were closed, and I went, you know, I was saying to myself, you know, kind of thing. How did I do that? Why did I do that? You know. So none of us are innocent from making these mistakes. Put it that way. But the balance needs to be learned sooner rather than later. Otherwise, you'll just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. I think I dropped 2 stone at one point, two, which would have been, oh, let's see, I'm trying to think in kg because we operate off different metrics altogether.
Yeah. I can't do that
Um,
conversion for you either. So.
yeah, no, I think I would be around 186 now.
Hmm.
But there was a point where I was very, very low. I was 130 or something, you know,
Oh.
really, really bad. You know, it got really
Yeah.
bad. Now that wasn't just from gaming; that was its own mental health aspect of things. Where I got really, I was smoking cigarettes at the time as well, so that didn't help your metabolism speeds up when you do that too. So, but anyway, yeah, it's they would be the biggest warning signs, and about finding balance, I think, would be that. I think I've segued a little bit now, so I'm trying to think way back to the initial question, but that would be the biggest warning signs for me. If you're skipping meals, if you're not doing exercise, and if you're not touching grass, you need to be doing those things. And maybe pick up a book every now and then. It does no harm, you know. A
No
real
harm
book
at all.
with paper, hardback books, not phone, because your phone has Facebook, your phone has Instagram. A hardback copy book has words,
Yeah.
you know.
That focus on something else other than a screen.
I think
So important.
art is probably another good one. If you're artistic in any way as well,
Hmm.
in any way, shape, or form,
It's a
that's
good outlet.
something to do a bit more often as well. My fiance is a very, very good. She draws, she sketches and things. She was training to be a tattoo artist at one point
Yeah.
because of her sketching was so good, and she does that. She takes time out and to video games and things, and but she integrates it. So instead of just, oh, I'm taking time off video game, she'll find a character that she really loves in said video game, and she will go and draw that character and draw it in a scenario or a different kind of thing. So you're still somewhat involving yourself in it,
Hmm.
but you're doing something more with it,
Yeah.
you know?
That's pretty cool. All
Hmm.
right. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and insights
It's no
on
problem at
gaming
all.
and mental health. I really appreciate you telling us your story and being here with us. Any final thoughts or shout outs you want to give?
Um, um, no, in terms of thoughts, no, I think we've basically covered everything. I just think it's like I said, the world is crazy. It's a crazy time to be around. It's unfortunately a crazy time to be alive. Countries are going crazy at each other. Everybody's just losing their minds. So I think we need to we need to keep with each other. We need to keep grounded. We need to stay together. We need to community. We need to build up in our communities. Find the people who you can trust. Find the people you can build relationships with, and you will find that things will tend to connect together more once you start to develop those kinds of friendships, those kinds of bonds.
Hmm.
So it's about seeking the help, I suppose, in its own way. I think that's most important.
All right.
That would
Thank you
be my
so
final thought.
much.
No problem.
And thanks for listening to Game Life Chronicles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Game on.
Bye, guys.